Hey everybody, Chris Matan here, Real Estate Machine Show. We're going to continue on with the series and we're going to talk cold calling. It's everybody's favorite topic. Everybody loves to make cold calls and everybody loves to receive calls from people that they don't know. Am I right? I'm wrong. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it one bit. However, it is the path to least resistance on generating business for your business, whether you're in the real estate industry or the manufacturing industry. But I do want to kind of pinpoint the differences because there are some subtle differences, and it's basically, and I'm gonna speak as the cold caller, right? And just to clarify, the definition of cold calling is picking up the phone, dialing the number of a potential prospect, getting them on the line, and having a conversation with them and hopefully sell them something. That's basically what cold calling is. It can go a little bit deeper than that. You want to build a relationship, you want to add value, all of that stuff that maybe the recipient of the call will give you enough time to present to them. But the fact of the matter is that I'm going to make this up, but 99.9% of the people answering the phone don't want to talk to a salesperson at that particular time. So it's critical that whoever is making the call is just good enough to have that person not hang up on you. If you can get that far, then you've got a shot. If you can't, they just hang up, you just move on to the next one. It kind of is a numbers game. But in real estate, especially commercial real estate, I'm going to segment commercial and residential real estate, because when you're cold calling residential real estate, you're basically cold calling homeowners, and the chances of them wanting to sell their home at that particular in this point in time is really, really rare. You might be able to generate a conversation, build some rapport, and put that person in your database and nurture them over the next several years. But to be able to pick up the phone, talk to somebody, and they want to sell immediately is, it's very, very rare. Now, commercial real estate's a little bit different, because when you're an investor or a business owner or a tenant or a landlord or something like that, you're in business. So you're always doing something. You might be buying more than one property throughout the year. You might be selling more than one property throughout the year. And again, it goes back to making that introduction, having the relationship, building the rapport, adding value along the way, and being at the right place at the right time as well. But the conversations that you have with commercial property owners is going to be a lot different, pretty much, than it would be for just a regular run-of-the-mill homeowner that you get from the yellow pages, for example, or the white pages, right? Now, I want to move that over a little bit and talk about manufacturing, because as a machine shop owner, I'm out there and I'm looking for business, right? And like everything, there's a number of different ways that you can find business, and one of them is cold calling. But I'm not calling necessarily the owner of companies that are subcontracting machine parts. Chances are I'm talking to a buyer or a purchasing agent in the purchasing department of that company, and it's their job to source machine shops to machine the parts that they're trying to make that puts their machines together, right? So the conversation is different, because although it's their job to find machine shops, they're not the owner also. They are an employee. And, depending on how ambitious they are, if they've got a roster of machine shops that they're already using and are comfortable with, they're not going to want to talk to you. If they're ambitious and they're always looking to keep everybody fresh, then maybe they will want to talk to you. And that's kind of how it looks like when you call on, let's say, an apartment building owner, right? An apartment building owner most likely does not want to sell. However, what they want to do is they want to talk about their building. They want to talk about the buildings they own, what they've bought, what they've sold, all their story, all their horror stories, all their tenant horror stories. They just want to talk because they got a little ego and they want to talk about themselves, like everybody. Everybody wants to talk about themselves. So the conversation you have with a commercial real estate owner or a landlord, so to speak, is an easy conversation. Chances are you're going to get past the hello, you're going to start chatting, so long as you let him talk or her talk a little while, you probably could have a 15-20 minute conversation on your hand. A buyer or a purchasing agent, not always the case. They got a million things going on. They got stacks of stuff going on in and around their desk. They're busy, they're pushed hard, they're putting out fires, they're trying to get everything done, and frankly, the last thing they want to do is have their day interrupted by a salesperson trying to offer a service of machining for, in my case, right? But again, it goes to adding value, the introduction, soft sell. It's not a hard sell. All you're doing is introducing yourself, and you want to make a friend. I'm just looking to try to make some new friends in this business. And if I can help you along the way, God bless. If not, hey, no sweat. But this is what we do. This is where we're at. And do you mind if I stay in touch? Right? It's really, really simple. Just get past that initial, I want to hang up on you, and you should be fine. But the point of the matter is that if you build a daily schedule around calling, call it cold calling, call it warm calling, call it anything you want. But if you're on the phone for at least an hour, hour and a half a day, reaching out to people in order to build your business and to generate business, generate leads. You're not generating leads, you're generating business, right? A lead. What's a lead? You're calling human beings. Let's call it what it is. You're generating relationships, and you hope that that relationship will eventually blossom into a customer or a client or a sale or maybe a date at a ball game or something like that. And you make a friend. It's amazing how you can make friends in the businesses that you're at. And when you do make friends, everybody wants to work together as friends, right? So that's kind of the way that I look at it. Anyway, I hope that was some value, and we'll catch you up on the next Real Estate Machine Show.